Welcome back to The Devil in Detail, the Grendel Reread Podcast. I'm Eli.
And Ben, Eli, it's our 90th episode of the podcast.
90th?
Countdown to 100. It's also our 2-year anniversary of the podcast.
Oh yeah, I saw that post today. You reposted it.
That's right. We've been weekly 86.5% of the time since we started.
Pretty great.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's amazing.
We're talking about Grendel 39.
That's right.
Devil's Reign Chapter 6. It's one of our favorite kinds of episodes, a penultimate episode.
Penultimate, exactly. There's only one more issue of Grendel at Comico at all. Number 40 is the last issue at Comico. We're out of here.
You told me something very interesting, and that's that it's actually a flip book. And
I don't know if it's flip book, actually. I don't know.
Maybe it contains the Ho-Chi Anderson story?
It does. There's 2 stories in it, for sure.
Okay.
There's a Grendel number 40, which is like the end of this era. And then it also is a Grendel Tales.
We're so close to the ultimate turning point in this series. But before we get too far into the Grendeling, Eli, it was a big week. Take your lap. Congratulations on Wizard.
Hey. Thanks, man. Yeah, it's been great. Cheers. I shipped out. I got 6 boxes in the mail, and that was what they could send me before the binder broke. Hey, you got yours. I didn't even keep one.
What's with the binder?
Like the binder at the printer, you know, that like puts the glue and like squeezes them or whatever.
Oh.
So that thing broke. Apparently, Wizard broke it. So they sent me 6 boxes. Yeah.
A book.
I don't know if I broke it.
It broke equipment at the printer.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, that's an accolade. Another accolade.
That's crazy. So they sent me 6 boxes, and I shipped out the entirety of those 6 boxes. It was most of the orders I had, like up to that point, of just like single issues. Because the way that I would make it quick for me is just I would like weigh out. I would just have one weighed out, and then I just like print out every single order. And then I was going to go back in and then get people who did doubles and you know, because I had the Cosmic Line collection you could add to it, or you could add, you know, the Turtles zine and stuff. So then I would do those later. So I got a ton out. 6 boxes, and I think there was 20 in each box. So 6 times 20 is 120. So I shipped out 120. Of 500 that I ordered, and there's tons of orders waiting still. I didn't get any foil, so anyone that upgraded to get the foil variant, you know, like they couldn't get theirs. But there's only 20 printed, 25 printed, so of the foil edition.
Okay, well, a lot more Wizards to go out. That's
yeah. So as soon as they come, which is probably gonna be this week, like Monday or so, then I'll be shipping like crazy on my days off, Tuesday, Wednesday again. So yeah, that's been the big thing. Last Sunday, though, I did a very cool comic book thing with Chris Anderson, who's a comic book artist out here. He's super good. He's been in Ghost Agents and Image Grand Design, all those books we did. He invited me to this thing called the Permanent Damage Comic Show. It was at like this bar record store that had this like outdoor kind of like slope down thing where they had underground comic artists, including up and comers Nate Garcia and Jasper Jubinville, who are like these young kids, 19 and 21, who are like tearing the indie comic world asunder. And so I got to meet them, and it was kind of crazy because I introduced myself to both of them, and they were like, Eli Schwab, right? Oh, yeah, which was crazy. And then every person I showed Wizard to, because I brought a Wizard to kind of show off, I guess, they were all like, oh, yeah, I've seen that. Oh, or I've got issue 1. Or, yeah, someone put a picture of me in issue 1 for something. I was like, what? I don't even. So that was really humbling and felt really cool to be like at this shot, at this like super indie Keenan Marshall Keller and what's the other dude? There was a couple other dudes, really big ones. So that was really cool, and that felt great to be recognized there. So I'm gonna try to get into that show. And Saturday, we have a signing at Collector's Paradise. Myself and Adam Lemna
Yeah.
but that will be passed by the time anyone hears this. So, but good on ya. What about you, Benny? What you been up to, buddy?
Storyboarded today. Been inking Oh Fuck Why. My hardware troubles are almost all resolved.
Oh no, did you get your iPad thing fixed up? Your
I
pencil?
could have hugged my Apple Genius when we restored my iPad. The pencil is a little. The performance on the pencil is a little strange. It's not toggling between mark making and tool selection or menu selection. So when I do those, I have to use my finger.
Oh,
and then also maybe like 1 out of 10 marks won't make.
Oof, that's annoying though.
Which is really, really annoying. But there's also a part of it that feels like it's like in my head, or there's some like they upgraded the iOS brand new. So there's a lot of different features. So there might be a setting I'm not used to, or anyway.
And you forgot the pencil and then repaired it like we were talking about this morning?
Yep.
Why are we talking about this on the podcast?
I'm talking about this on the podcast.
We can do this later. What else do you do? What else do you do?
I got friend of the show, super listener Joe Nolan, previous contest winner Joe Nolan.
Oh yeah,
sent me a box of books. I have the 3 best down here. I got Fantagraphics Peanuts is 56 or 57, and
wow,
Feast Your Eyes on the 1983 2-volume hardcover Elric saga. Unbelievable.
Nice. What? Dang, thanks, Joe.
Joe, I think
he won the first contest on the show. He won the Christine Spar action figure.
That's what he said. He said he felt like he was coming out of the deal on the better end. He laughed and laughed and laughed. Did I tell you that Billy 99? I think I did.
I think you did. Yeah. That's a good one.
I got a bunch of comics.
Classic duotone Tim Sale.
I got a bunch of people sending me free comics for Free Comic Book Day. I got all kinds of weird shit.
Awesome, dude.
Yeah. Well, that's enough about that. Everything's good. Let's Grendel.
Let's Grendel.
Put the box ready to go. Fast and then slow. Yeah. Vivat Grendel.
It's like the devil is my best friend. On the roads with the pen to the fork end, or till time end. Like Orion, Jupiter, my kin, bloodline private. We control the whole shit. The wolf won't beef, then we feast off the rip. Behold the devil in detail. Behold the devil in detail.
All right, thanks again to Manison Laserdisc. You guys always kill it with that theme song. All right, so we're back in, and look at this cover, man. This is amazing. A real like tonalistically, is that a word? Tonally completely different from last week's, which was dark and cool colors, and this is bright red and blazing at you. And
really,
again, I find it interesting that they choose to highlight the backup story, I guess, on the covers.
Yeah. I am of many minds in the backup story. I think what I think about them is mostly that the art is incredible, and the most incredible thing about the art is for me what Bernie is doing. I think Tim's camera work is incredible.
Oh yeah,
and his ability to like separate the two styles. And
that's
this
so
issue
great.
To stretch what the first style can do. You know,
agreed. Yeah, because it's kind of getting crazy, and this is the first time that we have like pages with no dialogue at all. They choose to show like war.
Yeah, it works. It works so well that it almost makes me wish that the backups were actually about Orion, where we could just see him like moment to moment and a little bit more natural. This issue also has like the most humor in it. I don't remember exactly where the jokes are, but like
this issue has jokes.
This issue has jokes. Yeah.
Huh.
There's a callback to the bananas.
Oh yeah. I even put that in the notes.
There's a few jokes. Yeah.
Kind of like self-referential type shit.
I don't or just like snide commentary. Anyway, this one is about the total. This is about the completion of the goal.
Exactly.
Of
It really
world unification, and it's also about like the direct reemergence of a Grendel figure of
Oh,
Grendel, and there's all kinds of crazy shit in this issue.
right, in kind of a twofold fashion, like the like man inside of a Grendel, but then also like this ideal, and I guess almost taking it from the personal to like the, I don't know, taking it from like a moniker, or like what do they call it in Batman? They call it like the mantle. Yeah. Taking it from a mantle and turning it into like regal, turning it into like a superpower, into like, to mean like, you know, king, versus just to be like a wild man in the night, or
well, let's
get in here.
Let's jump into it. The first thing is that one thing I love about this whole series is that it's designed so deliberately that every single first page has that vertical
man,
and or
exactly,
crane every single time.
Mm-hmm.
And it always looks so good. And this one is so Orion is sort of in secluded grieving, because Sherry died last issue.
Mm-hmm.
And the UNOW PR people are keeping spirits high with a holographic public messenger. And this issue is all about the very subtle ways that they like kind of like subliminally massage the media to fight war.
Exactly.
But it's left
totally
we've kind of open-ended how it works.
Well, but we've had that all throughout the rise, I feel like, using technology, and if put it into the like nowadays, it would be using like social media to like sway people, kind of like how they didn't they do something like that in Egypt, where they organized a big rally through Twitter, and it's like turned to violence or something, and then they outlawed Twitter over there somewhere. So something like that. But I feel like that's a modern day analogy to like something that they're trying to do here, using social media to like fan the flames, or to sway the media one way or the other, or to sway the people one way or the another.
This element of the story, which is one of the central motifs of the ongoing series, how media is used,
for sure,
always left completely unspoken. And Matt said, I could never write something that persuasive like as Hunter, or the Omnicorps multi-film franchise. Like there's enough Grendel media to fill every single channel, it seems, with some kind of flavor, but we never see it. No. And now here we actually do get a lot of, like, we always get the Orion sword ads, like every spread we get hit with another one, but it's like subliminal for the reader of a comic book, not for someone living in the 26th century in this world.
Yeah, exactly. And so I guess Fadi is like programming these messages or something. He's got a team of writers that keep sending these out, and it just continually pisses off Berlinetta, who is like waiting to talk. And like he might even see it as like he's doing this, you know, to like slight me. He doesn't want to talk to me, and it's making him madder and madder and madder.
And also he would be, you know, he wants to Grendel out when the Khan is sort of like still in conflict with himself, because he said, Orion's going to say it later on, he's like, I'm just trying to do the right thing the right way, and it's just not possible.
It's really not. And I think that was something else that Sherry was like the last vestige of like this idea that he could do it the right way. And now with her gone, he's just like, we gotta, you know.
This is where they're trying to program the hologram so that the eye is reflecting the light in a specifically charismatic way, something to that effect.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Oh, okay,
interesting. All right, next page. Here we see Fadi like getting everything. Oh, that's what you were talking about, like making sure the eye reflection is right, you know.
Yeah, it's a very vague, it's one of these things where like Oh, Matt, if you'd only predicted social media, the story would have been so much easier to write. But like if this was about social media instead of just like advertising and propaganda, it might be more palatable, or the intention might come across like uh, with more accuracy. I don't know.
I think you're right. But hindsight is 2020, so we
For
can only
sure,
do so
for
much.
sure. And I think that like as we look at adapting this whole series into TV, I don't think anyone's looking for comic accuracy, because it's because it bounces around so much in
Right.
different formats and different chronologies that like doing like you don't need to do it beat for beat like the comic. You have to do it. You have to make it work for TV.
Right. And I think that's a problem both ways, that some adaptations, get caught in. They either try to do too much and it just doesn't work, or they try to do too little and then people are like, this isn't even what we love. This isn't even our thing.
What's your favorite comics movie? Point blank, right now. Tell me.
I
now.
guess Turtles 1.
I was gonna say Turtles 1 too.
Yeah.
Well, as well.
I think it's the most realistic depiction of the source material.
Yeah.
Whereas something like the Inhumans TV show is possibly the worst, where it took everything you love about the Inhumans, which is there's not really that much other than
nothing.
costume design,
Yeah.
and took away all the powers and left you with nothing. Anyway, all right. So Japan is still threatening these nukes. On the first page, they were talking about how like they're still kind of keeping things up. And Berlinetta's like, we need to do something in Japan. Something's got to be done. We can't just keep being back on the things. When is he going to call me? He won't do it.
It's a very like kind of simple conflict that Berlinetta has. He's like, eventually he's like, if he doesn't call me in 3 days, I'm just gonna move. I'm just gonna do whatever the fuck I have to do.
Yeah.
It really is sitting on. It really is a situation where Berlinetta could potentially take over, and do it in a way that is violent, that Orion's not willing to do.
Agreed. And just that Berlinetta like had like the silo searches. He's been doing stuff under Orion's thing. Like he can't just sit still. He's like if I don't get, I mean, it's implied here that he's like, if I don't get some word soon, that this is going to be serious, and I'm going to just move forward. So
I'm not sure if it had been this strongly explained that Orion was like on.
Yeah, that he was like out
grief hiatus. It was. It sounded like he took a weekend to go to South Dakota.
Right, but
it seems like he's been there for weeks.
Yeah, it does seem like that, and it seems like it was exactly like he was like, I'm out of here for now. But then it's been like weeks, months that he's just sitting here, and on the next page he's like, he's begging Manny, like, you've got to do this for me, you've got to do this, and he's like, you're deluded, mate. But okay, pause here for some major Bernie watercolor backgrounds. These trees out the window. Beautiful, amazing backgrounds all throughout this Bernie shit.
Are we pausing? Are we pausing?
No, I mean pause like.
Oh,
I mean like hold the phone.
Orion is and Bernie are just like sitting around in South Dakota. Orion is convinced.
Orion and Manny. You say Bernie.
And Bernie. Bernie's there too.
Yeah, he's painting.
Orion's convinced that Epi Thatcher is still alive and that he's the key to helping Orion overcome the internal Grendel conflict that has taken over him and taken him down this path that it seems like he's trying to do. Like, he's basically trying to build the road to utopia, but it seems like wielding that much power, there's no way. It's like being in Washington. Like, you have to make deals with lobbyists. You have to make that Faustian deal in order to pull it off. So he wants Manny to reach out telepathically and locate Epi for him to help with that.
I think if I may read a small bit of text here, I think this encapsulates it pretty well. In his blind and unceasing efforts to bring a sense of order out of chaos, he had let his obsession quite unwillingly give rebirth to the evil of Grendel. So that is like, it's that same thing, like when your machinations to do good, and you start taking little pieces out, you start making some, I guess it's like, all right, I don't know, like I tried to get us paid a little more for the signing at the comic book store, but he's like, if I charge you a percentage smaller, then I have to do that for everyone else, and then my percentage, it's the same kind of thing. Like if you do it for one person, then you're going to start doing it for another person. And that's what he did do, what Orion did do. He had this peace agenda, but then he started being like, okay, no, I'll do this for you now. But then that person's like, oh, well, or the next person then is like, well, you did it for them, so now you do. So like his peaceful agenda slowly got eroded away by these little things that he kept having to do. Oh my God. Does that make any sense?
Not entirely.
okay.
I think you're saying that compromise
can make your like
can
erode your goals. What I said in the sentence here. We didn't need the analogy, Eli. Gotcha.
Bernie tears up this whole page.
Bernie
tears up this issue. He is on fucking fire. And Manny won't do it because he never recovered. And he's it's almost like the friendship is like completely there's no friendship.
Yeah, no.
It's just you do this for me now. And he's like, fuck you. I'm not doing, he goes, I'm not doing anything for you.
He's like, aren't you gonna do it for me? And he's like, so am I? And he's like, does that mean no? And as we go to the next page, we flash back to Berlinetta, who's like on the front, he's in the front lines, and we start getting these things, and he's talking to his people, and then someone's like, oh man, Major Michael Ivanich like went and did some shit. He like was on, he was on the border of Burma, and Ivanovich led an unauthorized battle, just like started doing some shit, right? And then he's like, bring him here to me now, or something. Am I missing something? Your face is like being like, Eli, you interpreted wrong.
I mean,
I come to report a major engagement, sir, today near the border of Burma. They attacked, no, sir. Major Ivanich led the battle.
Okay. Yes. Thank you. Excellent reading.
Hey, thank you.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't just read the pictures.
Yeah, I can only read the pictures. I'm really just waiting for the sequence where Manny is convinced. Manny puts on his Cerebro helmet.
Yeah.
And the Orion sword logo morphs into Gabba Gabba. Hey, here comes Epi.
Oh my God. Awesome. So like we're seeing like in his mind there another super cinematic sequence, and then he's just like,
for sure.
Who caught in a track? I can't watch back. And the Elvisness, because I guess Epi loves Elvis. He was always singing these songs, and we haven't seen that kind of like musical comedy since Epi was there. And then, Manny might not even, I know everybody knows these Elvis songs, I guess. And so, this Suspicious Minds just comes blasting in, and then he's,
Yeah, this fifth panel, where it's like Epi through a Grendel eye, all kind of.
Oh no, it's half Epi, half. Like he enters his mind. Remember Manny's like, I don't think I have it in me to even let that into my head. And so that's like half and half, like, oh my God, that's crazy. Yeah. And then he falls
on the eyeball. It's crazy.
Yeah, because it's like Epi's eyeball and then Manny's eyeball. And I didn't notice that when I was reading.
In his final words where he passes out. Probably, I bet this is the last time we ever see Manny. Like we see him again, he's just like a vegetable.
He's a vegetable, yeah. Orion pushed him so far.
Yeah.
Sherry Kniff brought him back from Australia, right? And was like, here's this dude that's going to help you. And he was like, great. This is going to make my life so much better. And boy, it does not. And
he just used him. He used him
really did.
To Husk, and he tells him Epi's in Vegas.
Oh, I didn't notice that. I didn't put that together. Because I was kind of like, how do you know where he was?
Yeah, because on the next On the next page,
Right.
he goes, "So I went to Vegas."
Yeah, exactly. It's really cool. And this is where some of these, very wordless pages come in, which is almost every page in this story is so very dense with wordage. So he flies in, he kind of parks. Maybe he hasn't been back to Vegas. No, he was at Vegas one other time in this trip, in this book. I can't remember when. But
Vegas
I mean,
or Denver. I think this is his first time in Vegas.
oh, you might be right.
Anyway, this is a phenomenal sequence. This page, especially the alleyway and him, every panel is just like it really gets to sing because it has the space, and it sort of makes me wish that there was more sequences like this in this book where it was a little bit breezier.
Right, like these 8-panel grids.
Yeah.
And like you almost never get the 8-panel grid in this book, almost ever. And also, I think this is a little bit of where you were talking about how we're getting looser on like the early Tim Sale style here, and it's we're bringing in a little bit of the Tales from the Underground style, where it's getting a little bit crazier because Epi Thatcher is like
well, it's like a deeper space, more cinematic style instead of like the woodcut style.
Oh, true, yeah.
And so it's almost like, what is the difference? And I think it's that like the camera here is much more. There's no canted angles or tilted angles or anything like that in this, and then maybe like the mark making is still kind of like chunky.
It's chunky.
It's still in that woodcut style. I love the smoke. That's one of Bernie's best bits is the clouds and the smoke and the light effects. Really great.
Awesome. And this setting, like where he comes in and he sees Epi, like absolutely crazy, man. He looks like a Ralph Steadman character again.
He explains that like Epi has been living, Epi's body has adapted to like insecticide and sewer juice, and he needs it to live, and it's just like,
and when he's in like the cleanliness where he brings him later, that's killing him because he needs the filth to keep him alive.
And so his plan is basically he drags him back to, I guess, to Denver. This is his big return to Fadi.
Right. Yeah, he hasn't been back.
And he's got Epi ranting under his arm.
Yeah, he's just like got like a suitcase. Yeah, so like Orion just basically overpowers him because like he used to have this like strength,
right?
But now he's like just this like crusty old sewer urchin, and he just carries him into the office and almost nonchalantly is like, "Fadi, give me, I'm back. Give me all the files on what's been going on and fill me in," And she's just like, "What?" And he's like, "It's Epi Thatcher, Grendel."
Yeah, and then Epi screams and it bleeds off the page. That's
so good, and it bleeds behind the gutters too, and behind like set pieces and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
It's like coming out of the door. That's like stuff you have me doing in Arcane and shit.
Yeah. It's obscured by some form. That's
really cool.
There you go. I think that. So what's going on here is that Orion believes in some kind of supernatural connection, some sort of superpowered deity force that flows through people. That is Grendel. And if Epi's here, then he's the closest thing that we can get to answers and my own salvation, perhaps. I think that's what's going on here.
And like Orion's so sure it's him because he can he senses the devil on him because it's on him too. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So there is some kind of like fine line between like mental illness and supernatural malady.
Yeah.
And it's not clear which one it is.
Yeah, he was driven insane by the devil. And so I gotta call out here panel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of Epi, just the amazing coloring and the amazing art. I mean, and I keep saying it, but it's like they're in concert so well. Like, it really seems like he's really like Bernie is really adding so much to these Tim Sale.
Yeah, this is this blue line stuff that Bernie does. Joe is really good. And Bernie have like completely different approaches. And and like the best moments in this series with Bernie is I'm not gonna say it's his best work on the series, but it's because like it's really hard to beat BLS. But like this is like some of the best coloring you could imagine. Like I bet if we went through a bunch of books from 1986, none of them, or 89,
No way.
none of them would be anywhere near as sophisticated or as
Well,
moody.
because Comico has all those extra colors. They have 100 more colors, but then Bernie is using those colors, but also painting them and not using flat colors or.
Well, I don't think that scale applies for this because it's blue line.
Oh, interesting. So then how do they print it?
I don't know.
They filter it through those colors or something?
They might filter it through, but it is based on a photograph.
Oh, okay.
That's why you can see all the different like wet effects and like texture effects
and different like black.
Yeah,
tones
or
and
like
stuff,
when
or-
a puddle kind of dries, you can see like the darker rim around the edge or something like that. I don't know. There's still a lot of there are many production things that I don't know anything about. Anyway, so Epi is crazy.
Great
And,
fucking scene right here. And his skin, like, because last time we saw him, he was flying through the
blown
air
up.
like Wile E.
On
Coyote,
fire.
all burn up, and so and now you can see he's definitely he's like the second side of Two-Face. He's like the burn up side of Two-Face.
Yeah,
And-
he's almost got like a warlock from New Mutants kind of thing. He's like quoting what is it, the $6 million man. He's just like saying, just like bouncing off the walls.
Yeah, he's saying a bunch of crazy shit. Like, oh man, it's so cool. They call him Ratzo. He's like, my name's Ratzo now. He's calling him Epi.
This is like in Game of Thrones when they break down Theon Greyjoy to call himself Reek. He goes, "I'm Reek. I'm a eunuch. I'm disgusting. I have no, not ringing any bells."
I've never seen it.
What?
No.
That's okay.
Sometimes things get too big, and then I'm just like, eh.
Well, it ended so poorly that you're not. It's like there's really no point.
I mean, this is just really cool. Like, number one, it's like cool. Like, I didn't remember this, and I think I was like trying to remember why I didn't remember that Epi returns like this. I think because I got this trade before I got the Epi trade when I was a kid.
So it's like, what the fuck is this?
Who the fuck is this old guy?
Yeah.
It's so still interesting back then when we weren't able to like just get whatever we wanted whenever you wanted. You couldn't just get the omnibus and read it straight through like that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I had to pick up these trades where I could find them, and I was like so ravenous for it. I just read it and didn't even I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, but even though like if you haven't read everything in order, it won't you won't get a full picture. Even if you have read everything in order, it's still leaving parts on you you have to bring it to life in a very specific way because he only gives you certain information.
Agreed. Yeah. And that's why us doing this, as much as it is great content and we make an amazing cast, it's just really fun for me, I'm sure for you, to see this story in a new light, in an ongoing context like this, where we have like everything to draw from. Like, I feel like I can remember so much because I read the book, then I record with you, and then I edit for hours or whatever. And I get so much into my brain, and we have so much of this Grendel knowledge in our brains. It's crazy.
I think the other thing about this scene with Epi with the crazy hand lettering, who's the new letterer? What's his name?
Kurt Hathaway.
Kurt Hathaway. Good on you.
Yeah, good on you.
This scene is like an enormous release of tension because
Yeah.
we've had 5 issues in this super rigid, dense style.
Right.
And suddenly there's just like, it's just like cutting loose. Anyway, the next page is Berlinetta's patience is up.
Oh, he's
on
done.
the horn talking to Fadi, and suddenly the Grendel Con shows up and goes, "Oh shit, that's all I needed to see."
Oh my God, it's amazing.
And he says, "Sit tight, don't do anything." He goes, "Okay, I won't."
this is such another man, like another cinematic as fuck scene. Like you've seen this scene in movies and TV, like
Sure.
where one of the henchmen is talking shit to the secretary or something, and the boss walks right in, and the secretary's like, "Yeah, I told you, man," and it's like, even kind of like where Peck is like just is like yelling at Janine, and then Venkman comes in from the back, and he's like, "Excuse me, don't talk to her like that," or whatever. It's like he's like, "I'm here. What do you need?" And that shuts. I mean, it doesn't shut up Peck, but in this,
what do you need?
yeah, in this situation, he's like, "Oh,
so what are the
blah, blah, blah."
so he says you're going to sit tight. We're absolutely not going to escalate.
No, maintain your position.
Yeah, in any way. But Fadi, you get some fun because
He's like,
Fadi, I need you to go through all the other. I need you to go through all the scrambled encrypted data that we got out of Denver.
Yeah,
25 years ago.
yeah.
And I need you to get all the R&D and tech on the sun gun.
Sun gun, give it all to me.
Orion
And you know what?
sword,
I'm hungry for
serving
something.
justice worldwide. You're looking for a sun gun?
No, I feel like maybe a banana could help.
No, you don't need bananas.
Oh, we don't need bananas now. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. All right, so Orion and Fadi find all the files, and they even straight up talk Elmer Kitten Claws. I didn't
Right.
remember that was his last name.
No,
Oh, that's
named for
great.
The first time here.
That's
And
right.
So when I see that and they talk about the mad genius Elmer Kitten Claus, and I think about how he appears on like 3 pages of God and the Devil, if that, I'm just like, man. Plus, he gets a flashback to like college,
Jerry style. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
I'm
in
just like,
Berkeley, and
God, like that, like every single character like deserves more story.
Mhm.
Like it all deserves more story because it's like it just packs so much in and leaves all these beats. It's just like it demands that you keep everything organized in your head. And if Matt didn't have an entire career writing other stuff or 50 issues of Mage, you'd be like, is that like, you'd think it was his only writing style, but just like his art style, like the writing has a amazing range.
Well,
And
yeah,
Mage, it
well,
was nothing like this.
when you're trying to cover such a long time and a huge time span, you don't have the luxury of developing these smaller characters. It's like, what are you drinking? A Presidente? Oh, yeah, dude, I haven't had one of those in a long time.
Okay. All right. So they're presenting to all the YouNow people. I think they're in South Dakota, this glass building. I'm not they're either in South Dakota or Denver. Oh, no, they're in Denver.
Oh, when they're presenting, they're like showing the sun gun technology.
Giant green schematic in front of thousands of people.
It's like stellar cartography and generations. Do I always have to bring it to Star Trek? Yes.
So I think they explain, is this the panel where they explain it's not gonna be a sun gun, it'll be a sun disc?
Yeah, the disc was to be huge, and yeah,
it's just a flying dick.
We do see later that it is one of many flying dicks in Matt's.
But it is it's like they explain that it draws and contains and magnifies
the ability to
power.
Continually enhance its input through a complicated system of refraction and storage. And best of all, no bananas needed.
No bananas needed. So that's like the first like straight up joke. That's
straight up self-referential. Yeah, so funny. I mean, I wonder if it was because like when we were talking to Matt about the bananas, he laughed a lot.
It's a joke, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like,
it's a dick joke. There's a really subtle subtle way of humor, just like how the Elvis stuff is like continuously like woven through.
All right, so then we get this quick scene of Berlinetta out in the field, right? We've received word of that.
He's in his camp and they tell him that they had this meeting and he wasn't even invited.
Oh, that's right. He's like, I don't care, fuck him. I got to.
So that was another one of the humor beats.
Agreed.
They found it here. So
Tim, I want to quickly shout out Tim on these sprawling
Yeah.
like scenery shots. They're amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, Bernie kills him too, but I mean, he wouldn't be able to hang the skin on it unless there was this amazing skeleton of just
Well,
beautiful.
if you look in that last panel of page 10, it's the thing I was talking about you last time, that the shadows are made up of both hard cast shadows and faded soft ones.
Oh yeah.
So
Mhm.
that's a really, I mean, that's that Lynn Varley approach where it really,
That's beautiful.
it really brings like,
Oh yeah, there's like these blue outlines kind of like all the way around here. That's really cool. I would almost like in Photoshop, you would like copy that layer, color it totally in blue, and then just kind of like tick it over one and up, like just kind of offset it by a teeny bit. And it's like, that would be the same layer.
oh, that might be a registration issue.
Well, it works.
Well, it works. Okay, great. So,
All right, so we're back in here with
let's-
Psycho.
let's read this because this is where they sort of explain. A frenzied production began on the disc, right? Frenzied discussions continued in the privacy of Orion's study. Originally, the Grendel Con had found a certain meditative tranquility in Epi's continual rantings, but now he found himself as confused as anyone would be by such talk, and Epi's health was deteriorating rapidly. Deprived of the chemical atmosphere to which he'd become so attuned, the wretched physical realities of Epi's life began to catch up with him, the personal irony of which Orion was slow in admitting to himself.
Yeah.
Great.
It's really cool. Just, I mean, I would love to see a whole issue too. I mean, this could be another amazing Grendel tale of just them two.
It could be 3 issues of him going and getting him and how it
Oof.
fits in.
We just need to write a proposal for Matt of 30 stories from the entire
50 stories.
50
Let's
stories
level
from
30.
all across
Yeah.
this cycle. We could totally do it.
There.
Man, we're only halfway through the cycle too, I feel like. And I feel like we have 50 stories from characters that we would want to.
Well, in a funny way, the Grendel tales are commentary on. It's an extended commentary on the core cycle, which is
On the cycle, and I think on different parts of society and different
Yeah, for
ways
sure.
that like the society continues in one way, but then is like morphed or disfigured through this future.
Yeah.
Cool.
All
Yeah.
right, great. So what's going on here?
He can't really remember the question. He doesn't have an answer for Orion, but what he does know is that he wants more Pop-Tarts.
He wants more. Yeah, bring him more food. And
No,
then
he
what
says
is-
Pop-Tarts though, which is
Yes, but
I
then
like that.
Orion says have more food.
He just says food.
Okay. Hopefully there'll be Pop-Tarts in there.
Well, sometimes if you bite that Pop-Tart right in the center, you can use it as a remote control. So maybe he doesn't want to give him Pop-Tarts because then he might be able to bite it in the middle and then use it to maybe change the channel. Don't you remember that commercial from growing up? Oh my God. I did it every time I ate a Pop-Tart. Oh, I'll try to find it. But the kid bit like the middle of the Pop-Tart and then he was like, "Dilly darly," and like, use it as a remote control to like change his channel. Oh
Sounds
man.
like the 90s for you.
I ate a Pop-Tart every time in the middle first.
In the middle.
Like in the top middle. Anyway. All right. So yeah. So then we flash over to the Grendels, and they're trying to figure out like what's going on with the military. He's ordered them. So these are like they're reporting to Orion and Fadi here. Like here's Sergeant coming in saying that
Yeah, well,
like
they're getting back into routine for the first time in
exactly
months, it would seem.
But he's telling them that like Berlinetta has moved to have like the last 2 nukes loaded and ready for launch. Yeah, so that's no good.
Right. So he's gonna have him arrested.
He's like, issue a warrant right now. Yeah, this guy's
Do it.
gone too far. Because now he is actually he's making moves to try to like start the war. And Orion's like, no.
Orion Sword, serving justice, serving you. This Empire Lanes ad, I feel like we've been seeing it for 18 months.
Yeah,
And
again,
it's-
I was
and
like,
it's-
didn't we
it's
see this a
someone
long time
else's
ago?
book? They're just accepting ad money from another publisher.
Oh yeah, Keyline Books. No, Keyline Books is a wholly owned imprint of Comico.
Oh, well, I'm confused then.
Interesting.
Yeah, but they've been advertising that for quite some time.
Yeah. And this is a crazy
There's
Elementals ad. Like, I don't know what goes on in Elementals, but these ads, like, if you put if you put all these Elementals ads like in a zine, it would be crazy. You're like,
Adam
what the
Hughes
fuck is
has
going
all
on?
this. Oh, great.
That'd be a cool Grendel zine to put all these ads in the back too. All
Yeah,
right,
we
so
did the
we're
Grendels in.
we're back.
The
And
news is reporting on Berlinetta's arrest.
exactly, he's court-martialed, and Orion showed that all the troops were retreating. He called back all the troops, and that was like, and here's where we get to the social engineering again. He publicly called back all the troops, but underneath he's prepping his giant sun dick to go out.
Yeah, and doesn't he also publicly say, okay, Eastern Hemisphere, we get it. You're real tough. We don't need the conflict. We're gonna withdraw. Everything will be fine. And all we saw you now will be sovereign in the West, and you guys do whatever you have to do. And then he like cuts to his scientist building his giant, awesome domed sun disk.
On
So
March
cool.
15th, 2565, the sun disk was launched and, accompanied by the bulk of the UNOW Air Force, initiated a devastating attack on the Japanese archipelago. An archipelago is a series of islands that interconnect or are one nation.
That's nice.
Is that right?
I believe it's archipelago.
Archipelago.
That's what
Archipelago. Lago. That's where Pell and Cross lives.
Yeah. So the sun disk flies, and it is
Amazing
a
page
giant
here.
dick.
God, this 8-panel spread, not a single word other than Orion's sword.
This is
Just-
the first fully silent page
Absolutely.
in the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Orion sword is the only text, and it gets closer and closer.
This giant dick's just destroys Japanese. It fires down, and I found this very interesting. We get this image of Orion
Smiling.
bemused. Maybe we can't really tell. Is he happy? Is he sad? Is he?
I
mean-
mean, Grendel, he is accepting. He's accepting the means for which
True.
this is going to take, and he knows
This
that
could-
like it's
Yeah.
only because this is a really devious war crime that he's committing. My
Yeah.
favorite thing about this is that in panel, I mean, there's a lot of things. Panel 5, when the dick shoots,
It's on a boob. It's a boob dick.
It's a low angle shot, so you're like looking up at it. It's like lots and lots of power coming out of panel 5.
Yeah. Panel 4 too. That Bernie background is beautiful.
Yeah. The Bernie kills it there. Okay, so this
That last page though, or that last panel, would have been a good place to have one of those kind of overlay Grendel eyes, or have like, yeah. You know, because it's like
on the nose.
Yeah, a little too on the nose. Maybe they thought about it and they're like, hey, back up a little bit.
I think they say that like basically the island of Japan is like devastated and like sunken and causes tsunamis,
Right.
and the entire eastern coast of mainland Asia experiences tsunamis and geological
And earthquakes that topple
Yeah.
the fabled Great Wall. And the Chinese government was then forced to admit defeat and surrender to the discretion and mercy of the West. So,
Yeah.
so there it is. You now it is doing something. I like this wording too. It says, for the first and possibly the last time, stood united as a whole. Like, meaning like, you know,
This is
there
the
won't be
peak.
any war again. Yeah, right. This is the peak.
of his
And
of
because
his
we-
unification.
Right. And because if we frame it like, who's telling this story? From what viewpoint are we seeing this? Is this just a documentary film from later on in Orion's life? You know, so is it showing us only their side? You know, like, is this a film that only shows UNOW's perspective and doesn't really show us, you know? So we don't know. And then he pulls on this absolutely insane, oh shit,
Epi dies.
Epi dies, but
Epi's
then
just dead on the ground. He's like, fuck it, he was weak.
Epi dies, but I think Manny dies too, and they add his face to Mount Rushmore. That's what's in this.
Holy shit.
I didn't see that till right now. Bill, but like
Is that-
those
is
who
he
have
next
gone
to
before us,
Orion? Is that Orion next to him?
it might be.
That's crazy that they put Manny on Mount Rushmore.
Yeah. I didn't even notice that. And then
Maybe
he puts
this is like
this
the
like
unveiling of that.
it
He
must
puts on
be.
his-
Yeah, he puts on this
It's like a Spartan kind of.
yeah. Magneto from Age of Apocalypse kind of.
I like his weird little ascot and his long hair and his like sunken cheekbones.
I love it. Yeah.
I wish I could remember how much time has elapsed. So it's 2065.
Yeah, I wish I did
Now?
too.
I feel like
2565, yeah.
I feel like the story begins in like 2515. Something
no.
like that. It's just-
Where's
it
that
takes a
timeline?
long- Takes a long time to make this happen. Vivant Grendel.
Vivat Grendel. All right, so Tales from the Underground Hound Dog. Here we are. So there's a lot going on in this, and it's between this pack of Grendels that are in Vegas and obviously the vampires who are now getting these vampires out. They have this
Yeah.
they have their new base, and so they're getting all these people. They've got about 400
Yeah,
400
and they have-
vampires out.
Their base is like a city carved into a cave wall. It almost looks like the way like indigenous Americans in like the Southwest
Oh yeah.
in like the canyons and mountains would like build villages into a canyon wall. It's like kind of like that.
Yeah, agreed.
Cool. And last issue, the story ended with the introduction of this Edwards character, who's going to be a new Orion Sword frat bro. And it looks like these guys, like their barracks, are like actually inside of the
Or
facility.
maybe right outside, it looks like.
Okay.
Because
All right.
because you can see
Are they literally outside?
yeah, right on page
Oh.
16, you see the
Oh, it
like
says
Grendel's
barracks.
it says barracks. And they're all just kind of locker room talking here or whatever, talking shit. And you're kind of getting to know these characters that we're going to introduce throughout this thing. And that's page
Edwards-
16.
Yeah, there's Edwards, and then there's this like really gaunt faced guy. In the last
Right.
panel, Edwards takes off his sunglasses, and you can see he has fangs. Like it's
You can, yeah.
the lead is buried. I think what's going on is that in whatever happened to Pelin, remember Pelin like got a new mutant power.
Last
Pelin
issue,
started
yeah.
bleeding, and if you drink the blood that he bleeds, then you can be it basically makes people daywalkers.
Right.
They all start bleeding, and so they can all prove that they can all pass themselves off as humans instead of
Exactly.
vampires.
Right.
Okay, great. All right.
All right. So I feel like they almost gave us this gaunt looking dude kind of as like a white herring. Like maybe are we like, oh, maybe he's all gaunt. Is he a vampire?
He's
Kinda thing?
pale, so you called him a white herring
Oh, a gaunt herring.
instead of a red herring.
Oh yeah, that's the
All right.
saying. All right,
They
so
showed
17,
us,
we're seeing this like Cave
Yeah,
City.
it's so cool, and Bernie does such a good job, like with these like muted like green shadows.
Yeah,
morphing into
I
these
would have
little
not
beats.
ever thought green for those accents, but
You know, all these Tales of the Underground, especially now in this one, it's like very, very limited palette. And Bernie, like, this is where we can really be like, there's no comic from 1989
oh my
that
god, no,
looks like this.
no way.
Like, there's just nothing out there. So it's totally unique. And the vampires, yeah, look, if you look at the way that like there's like these poles coming out of the walls, it looks like these like southwestern native cities. So
Yeah, agreed.
so what's going on here is that all the vampires are going through the same kind of like self-flagellation / water hardening like religious torture that the church was putting people through. But like it's like to train these like these like jihadists basically to like be able to like withstand the
Like
water
on-
and-
Remember when we watched that thing on Apple TV where they all had to walk that he had to walk that super
the
long thing
foundation.
foundation, yeah.
Yes.
and he had to walk in the sun to that
Yeah,
thing.
you have to
and
be tortured to find the spirit. To have the
exactly.
revelation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man, that show was
Look
good.
at this. There's one dude getting shot in the back in the lower right.
Yeah,
of
right.
the
Oh,
panel.
water gun. Maybe it's a water gun. It kind of looks
Oh,
like
it's
a
a water
squirt. You know,
gun. It's a water gun.
that is cool.
Okay, so
Interesting.
they're begging for Pelin to free them from bondage and pain.
Oh,
I'm
I see.
like Pelin's plan, I think, is just like as much chaos as we can. It's basically Orion's
Yeah.
plan featuring vampires.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's kind of what we're seeing as these parallel paths, you know, and because we know that they become rampant and they take over like Africa, I think, and War Child, and like, so you know, this is they're on the path towards that.
Right. I feel like I'm excited to see the vampires in War Child because once the Comico era ends, there is almost like a palate cleanse that happens. Like there's a lot of stress, Batman Grendel, and then by 93, I think 92 or 93, Dark Horse is rolling. And
Yeah.
like the ongoing Comico series is so experimental. Like Matt like really
Incredibly.
has like creator owned carte blanche to, it's like almost the opposite of like learn the rules so you can break them. It's like experiment as much as you can so that when you get to Dark Horse, like it's like real, like it's still
Well said.
structurally experimental,
Mhm.
but it's a much more like um palatable broad appeal comic.
Yeah, agreed. That's well said. Because I mean, after the Kamiko, we don't see this much. You know, and again, I haven't read it all in 20 years, but we don't see
never
as much.
this dense.
Yeah, nothing like
It's
is done
never
in
this
this.
dense. And also the storytelling is much more focused in Dark Horse, and they'll
Yeah.
tell much smaller stories. Think of I think it's like Dave Cooper and Pat McEwen, the Homecoming,
Yeah.
where it's just like about like 30 hours in the life of Susan.
Right. Well,
Harry
and that's how
Fitzsimmons.
they continue to push the envelope is with the different artists, the different viewpoints, the new characters, these all new universes, communities that are built within each little 4 or 5 issue series.
Okay, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves.
We are way off.
The orange, so the white narration was from Edwards in Grendel's Palace. In the desert, the yellow is from Kirsch, who's having a crisis of faith. And Kirsch has been around for like 10 issues. We don't know anything about him. He has a mohawk, he was COP, and he's having crisis of faith.
Well, no, Zebra's the one having the crisis of faith, right?
No.
And Zebra's
No,
the guy with the face metal.
Zebra is yes, Zebra's the guy with the face metal. Zebra has his own issues.
Okay.
Explained.
Gotcha. So, okay, yeah. All right. So let's go to 18. Well, okay.
Anyway, yeah, I mean, yes, the point is both of Pelin's lieutenants are having some issues.
Agreed. We get the Kamiko blimp and we get the Devils indulge in the Devil's wares, but I didn't read the hype page or anything. Again, shout out Shelley Roberg,
It's
Shelley Bond.
It looks like it's Rick Taylor telling it's art director or submissions editor.
Oh yeah,
art director Rick Taylor.
I thought you said Rip Taylor. I was like, dang, they got Rip Taylor.
That'd be great. Yeah, Rick Taylor. This page 18 is probably the best. I don't know. It's the best layout. That's not the best. It's a great layout.
Oh
yeah. It's 2 scenes. It's the barracks with the Grendels and Pelin in the cave with the vampires, and they're basically saying the same thing about honor and duty and order and do your duty and blah blah blah. And then there's 2 panels of just like the soldiers, Edwards.
Well, one that's kind of like naysaying, and the other that's like you need to pay attention because this is, you know, one that's kind of, you know, dissenting viewpoint, and then a ascenting viewpoint, I guess.
Oh, you were right. Zebra's having the crisis of faith, and
okay.
Kirsch's. I just like they're just so completely non-distinct from each other that It's like one's got a mohawk and glasses, and the other's got a face thing in the head.
But they've been through so much. Like, remember when they found Pelin crossing
Kind
the
of.
in the sewer and stuff?
They've been through so much, but like we know nothing about these characters.
We don't know much about them.
So,
Nothing.
so that's a little rough. But Bernie's coloring on the next page is
Oh god, so good.
magnificent. Look at that
Super
turquoise
Star
sky.
Warsy. I feel like on these buildings, the kind of shapes and stuff.
They're very like also like grungy and like used universe and like,
Yeah,
there's,
I
like,
love
oil
that.
stains all over. So cool. So this is
Again,
where-
it's like we got Frankenstein here, and did he look like Frankenstein in that panel 3? I guess he's got the
Yeah,
flat
oh, sure,
top and the like.
he sure does. He's just some schmuck. And then in the last panel, you can see all these fang-toothed vampires are being led by Edwards to go.
And they
do
keep
this
saying
thing.
like home, like I think it's like homie, or
Homie.
like yeah.
Homie.
All right, so then here we're back to this. We were talking about this before we started the show, but this is wild.
The clearest storytelling moment in the entire segment.
First one blood, guaranteed.
There's so much that like it's just like how like the sun gun bananas dick joke. It's like this is the entire plot and like condensed into like one like Rube Goldberg style panel.
Yeah, he's just laying on a bed of nails, like blooding himself while he's feasting on these animals. When we were before the show, I was saying it's like when you're chugging a beer while peeing. It's like you're emptying the tanks while simultaneously filling the tanks, you know?
Yeah. So he's eating 15 animals at once while laying on his stomach on a bed of nails. That's big. It's almost like the Sardaukar in the rain scene in Dune. And they're filling up these little vials of first one blood, guaranteed to make you bleed.
Right, and they're kind of talking a little bit about Orion here too. Like we can't be sure like that it's even him. He's like a hologram. He's like, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah,
and he's like, enough of this.
I think he's like he senses that clearly this is a moment of, well, they know that Sherry's dead. So obviously this is as vulnerable and unstable a moment and opportunity as they're ever going to have. And so now's the time to let's plan go.
Exactly. And he's like, Kirsch, up those ride schedules. And here we see even more dissent where he's like, why can't he believe it? Because he's like, Rrr.
Yeah. The Grendels are they inside? Yeah, the Grendels are lined up inside of the laser fence outside of the casino. And there have been like scheduled, Pelin is scheduling riots in different parts of the casino,
right?
To run interference on whatever they're going to do.
They're shooting this fire and they're like, don't hurt him now.
The Grendels, doesn't hurt him anymore. But they've already lost 8 men. So this is serious shit, guys.
Mm-hmm.
And then Edwards is going to eat Frankenstein.
And next page, we see like Zebra's running in, or Kirch is running in. No, Zebra's running in. He's like, we can't do it. The big breaks, they got to be called off. Like new plans. Like, so just they're not together at all.
I thought everything was good.
Asante's back, and they're like, positive. So like we are seeing the effects of Orion's reemergence. He's like, we've got to tell Pelin. And he's over here bathing in the bloodbaths over here.
Yeah, he looks like Stellan Skarsgård in Dune as Baron Harkonnen.
He says, so he has risen again, this Satan. So interesting how he views himself as the hero. You know, like Pelin is the freedom fighter, and he's the
All right. So anyway, on the next page, we got Edwards and Frankenstein, and Bernie's Bernie's limited palette works really well when Frankenstein gets the shock in yellow. It's almost like
he sees he's like, oh, and then he's like,
fuck,
oh
that's it.
fuck, oh fuck,
been done, betrayed. Now there was teasing in the barracks that Edwards was homosexual, and I think that the last 3 panels are showing us that. I think, or that there's something the intimacy of eating, if you're a
Oh,
vampire,
of
eating somebody
changing someone.
is inherently erotic.
Yeah.
Sexuality aside.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. All right. And then in this last scene, just kind of like all the hell's breaking loose.
Yeah, where I was confused. Where
They're
are
on
they?
the
Like, what are we
top
looking
of.
at?
I think this
Are
is
they-
kind of like they're starting these raids and they're starting to break out and break down the walls of
think they're at
Grendel's
the
palace, and they're on
casino.
the roof of Grendel's palace.
They're at the casino.
Yeah, on the roof.
Oh, right, because you can see a little bit of the Birdman's roof in the
Yeah,
upper
that's all the shit
left.
spots right there. Yeah.
Okay, so the vampires are raging out, and right, and Kirsch says, "Deliver us from evil," and Zebra is knows that
He's like,
It's not
now
good.
he's way too powerful. It's all gone to his head. Nothing is like gonna be simple again. And he's saying, and well, Kirsch is saying the first one had led us into freedom, and next he would lead us into the promised land, lead us not into temptation. Like this is all getting to be like a cult biblical thing, and Zebra's not into it.
I'm not sure why he's not into it. I find it.
Yeah, we don't know. We have no reason
It's
to.
a little too vague for my taste. The whole thing. You know what I would really like to see is I'd really like to see a story where Hunter. It's like structured like the Princess Bride, where Hunter is telling Stacy a story with all of her stuffed animals, and it's lore about the vampires and the animal totems and stuff like that.
We are good at this.
All
right.
I feel like that's all I can see. Anyway, so we have a final ad. Be on hand as an era comes to a close. That's nice. And then I guess this is Vegas burning. Yeah, sure. Vegas is burning. Grendel number 40, and then yet the fiendish legacy carries on. A special
Double-sided. It is a flip.
Will be a 48-page story featuring the very first Grendel tales by Ho Chi Anderson. Just credited here as Che Anderson. Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
I'd like to read the thing from the previews here. It's kind of long. So this 48-page extravaganza not only contains the climactic conclusion to the current Grendel storyline, but features a special preview of Comico's new Grendel Tales series on its flip side. Ooh, see? You don't get there. Structured like an old ace doubles, this issue begins with the end of the current Grendel Con, that is, as Orion Asante passes the mantle of leadership onto his newborn heir, the son of the devil. Meanwhile, Pelin Cross gets fat and sassy. Even as Grendel's palace is under siege. Can the Vampire King survive the attack from both? Can the Vampire King survive the attack from both within and without the palace walls? This shocking finish to our 7-issue run is written by Grendel creator Matt Wagner, penciled and inked by Tim Sale, lettered by Kurt Hathaway, hand painted by Bernie Moreau, and edited by Diana Schutz. And on the flip side, the acclaimed writer of Kafka and the Amazon, Stephen T. Siegel, shout out Stephen Siegel, did some great work. Chronicles the very first Grendel tale as student Marcus Brand finds himself a victim of devil worship in a story that disturbingly echoes the recent Beijing massacre, even though it was written about 2 weeks prior to the terrible events in China. Oh, wow. Joining Steve Siegel at the creative helm is the artist Ho Anderson. Oh, that's interesting. They call him Ho Anderson here and then Che Anderson before, maybe, and we know that he's like Ho Che Anderson. Interesting.
That might be a copy of it then.
An exciting and talented newcomer to the field, soon to be snapped up by the major leagues once they get an eye full of his work here. Bernie Moreau handles the paint and colors, and Diana Schutz takes care of the editing. No ads, no hype pages, just 48 pages of solid gold storytelling and harsh language and some nudity. Sweet.
Great. Okay.
Great,
well,
man.
That's
we are one issue away from the end of Comico, really.
The end of an era.
The end of an era.
I don't even know what will. So I guess. So after Ho Chi Anderson, I guess that's War Child.
War Child's next, yeah.
Great.
Absolutely. I've got like kind of a basic timeline. Oh, where is it? Of like the reading order.
Mm-hmm.
That I think we're gonna go for it. So like I guess, and I think this is not release order, but this is timeline order, though I'm not exactly sure. Do they really build like that, you think?
Go by what's in the omnibus.
Oh yeah, the Tails Omnibus. Yeah, that's the call. Okay, cool.
The tails omnibus. Yeah.
All right,
Although
cool.
Cool. Great.
Cool, great, tight. Oh, that's a slogan from Can I Flip It, my other podcast. All right, so cool. This has been a great episode. So I think until next week, Ben. Vivat Grendel.
Keep on Grendling. Hey. 90